One of the best things in music these days is that we have access to countless amounts of instruments, drums, vocals, and plugins. Because of the scale feature in DAWs and some controllers, young producers don't need to spend countless amounts of hours and money to learn music theory to come up with decent composition. Not to mention the rushing growth of AI melody or even song generators. It all sounds cool and promising for new music makers, but by sticking to the grid, scale, and trying to make everything perfect, you will lose the fundamental things in music, which are emotions, dynamics, and a little bit of dirt. Today's video will be all about how to make your songs sound like real music, even if you don't have crazy piano skills or you just learn theory from a couple of YouTube university lessons. So you may have coolest melody line, chord progression and drum patterns, but once you arrange them to play all the time, you will lose uniqueness and quickly get bored of the track. We talk a lot about referencing here, and it turns out it is not only useful for mixing and mastering. By studying how your favorite tracks are structured or how particular instruments are articulated, you can get inspired to apply similar concepts in your own music. Best place to start, even without using reference tracks, is to expand your 8-bar loop to the length of the whole track and start removing elements. Speaking of those elements, you should always have mixing at the back of your head. As long as you're not layering or sound designing, choose instruments that complement each other tonally, rhythmically, and in terms of stereo field. As you should already know, bass is a tricky thing to mix. Just to not add up issues upon issues, make sure you use correct pattern. If the melody lines of other instruments are complex, your bass should be simple. And in reverse. Common practice is to follow chord root notes, yet it may sound too repetitive, especially if your melody line is not that complex at all. To bring more excitement to your bass line, use 3rd, 5th or 7th notes in scale as accents, or utilize simple octave jumps. Drum sequencers and groove boxes have a huge impact on modern music. In fact, more and more DAWs take inspiration from those and the classic FL Studio sequencer and include similar solutions. But there is a huge problem if you rely fully on sequence patterns. They will sound robotic. If you program your drums in MIDI, there are many solutions to get rid of robotic sound. First things first, adjust velocity. Even the most precise drummer in the world won't be able to hit snare drum or cymbal with same exact force to achieve same exact velocity. Next, work on timing for the same reason. Shifting MIDI notes a little will add groove and bring more human feel to your pattern. If your DAW has an option to apply grooves or swing, use them to save some time and get inspired. So it is very easy to make simple triads. But what sets amateur from great sounding chords are inversions. The idea is simple. Sometimes it can feel like your chords make too much of a leap from one to each other. Even if you keep up with the scale, it can feel too basic or even unmusical. Using inversions is where you change the note placement to make those jumps as close as possible. Next thing that helps your chords is numeral notation. There are countless videos and guides about common chord progressions, and don't be afraid to use them to get inspired. As long as you're not making progressive EDM steps or arpeggios, it is always better to adjust notes velocity and placement by hand. Even if you get all of those right, Still, the most slept-on thing is being expressive. And I'm not even saying about utilizing MPE controllers and instruments. Majority of times, modern pitch wheel will do the job. Using pitch drops and modulating filter with vibrato adds a lot more depth than holding one note at its perfect pitch. It may seem like much more to add and take care of, but believe me, even a little bit of swing and velocity automation can add much more character to your compositions. It all depends on the genre you produce, and it's totally okay for some to stick to the grid and trying to make everything perfect. On the other hand, using some of those techniques in genres that are not supposed to have them can bring some uniqueness and make your music stand out. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed this video and learned something new, and make sure to keep an eye on our channel for more music production tips.